Did any legislator or the governor ask you to create this position?
Nobody asked us to create this position. We were pressured to put Jim back in the athletic director's position in spite of the fact that we did not believe that that was the right thing to do for the university and had started an internal and external, an internal functional and operational office.
Isn't it true that the pressure was to put him back in his position and let his contract run out?
That is partially true, but the rest of the pressure was that his attorney took advantage of the situation to threaten a lawsuit and told us that that would not be a satisfactory resolution.
Yes, but that was the recommendation, that if you did not see fit for Mr. Donovan to continue, that you would put him back in his position and let the contract run out and not cost the university any more money.
Yes, Senator, that was the recommendation. And
okay. So we just want that on record.
I want to make this very clear. The governor did not tell me to do something. Mm-hmm. He told me the circumstances and the political environment that was evolving, and he gave me some advice about what my best political, my best actions would be. Mm-hmm. I took it that he was trying to give me advice in how to act in a situation that had become increasingly inflamed.
Just as you had gotten advice from the legal team at the university saying, basically,
that we needed to move on. It was time.
They said though first that they were sure that they would win any lawsuit.
They said they thought it was highly probable.
But that from a cost aspect, mm-hmm. practical, it would be better to pay Mr. Donovan off to create a position that was not there, that was never defined.
Well, we tried the route of buying out the contract.
Well, we've done that before. That's what we do at the university. We buy out contracts, right?
Well, no, we don't. I mean, we do have these provisions in mm-hmm. contracts for what mm-hmm. happens if you leave before the contract is over, sure. Yes, and I think that's pretty common in a lot of places.
See, I still, as someone who has skin in the game for the football mm-hmm. program and all for 45 years, I don't understand why you didn't just let the contract lapse, as was said. That would have been the prudent thing to do. I don't see how that would have stopped the search.
I know you don't understand that. I know you don't understand that. But we really believe that our athletic department, the new coach, the things we needed to do to build our athletic department and to move forward would be better served at that point, after all of this drama, and in the midst of this drama, by moving on.
So the decision to create a new position was whose decision?
The decision to create the new position technically was the new chancellor's decision. The chancellor sat down with him when this was developing and said, I don't want to put you back in the athletic director position, or words to that effect, but I do think you have talent and I'm willing, I would like you to work with me. Let's see if we can work something out.
But he never said he didn't want you in the position. He said they didn't want you in the position.
That's my recollection on the meeting on the 8th.
So is it safe to say that this position really came together more after this incident with the concert than prior?
You know, it came together then, yes. Was it started before then? Yes.
As far as not continuing on with Jim Donovan as the athletic director, at what time was that decision made?
I knew I didn't want to do that fairly soon after we heard about the concert being a bust. I do remember being part of a board consult meeting and expressing my strong desire to have someone new in the position. Exact date, I'd have to look at my calendar.
Okay, but the original request was for just putting him back in his position. Is that correct?
Correct.
So could you folks not live, that was more? You couldn't live with that?
No.
To just let the contract run out?
We'll settle the issue by not redoing the contract.
That was the easy out. I could have done that. I didn't think it was the right thing to do because I had at that time a strong feeling it wasn't in the best interest of our student athletes and our coaches. I received a couple weeks later a letter from 43 of 44 coaches saying thank you for the leadership we have. I can't imagine that happening without there being a bit of a, there wasn't the kind of leadership that I was looking for.
The fact that the athletic director falls under the chancellor, you made the decision not to go forward with the contract. You didn't want to damage him, but yet when you put him on leave with the guise that there may have been some criminal wrongdoing.
No, I didn't say that. I was trying to explain to you, Senator, that at the time that we put people on administrative leave, which we would have done in any department where there was missing money and there had been some real concern over how the whole episode was handled. We would have probably done that in any circumstance. I said, however, in the background was the fact that we did believe we were involved in a real fraudulent thing.
Didn't that damage him already?
No.
No?
Anytime you're put on leave, of course it damages you, of course.
But the statements that were made in the press conferences, wasn't that damaging?
We do not believe that, and if we said some things we shouldn't have, perhaps...
But if you didn't believe them, then why did you guys settle?
We settled because, for two reasons. One, we were under pressure to do something to... we were under pressure to do something for Mr. Donovan. The second reason that we did it was because the best advice of our attorneys was that we probably would win the lawsuit, but it would take a couple of years. It might be very costly, and in the meantime, we might not be able to fill the athletic director's position. That would be very destabilizing for the athletic department.
And then, at what point did you get an attorney, and at what point did this turn into a settlement agreement?
Well, I got an attorney after the press conference. You know, I was pretty appalled in regards to the press conference on the 12th. And all the time that I'd worked in administration, we were instructed by Human Resources that we're not to confirm if an employee has been put on leave or with or without pay. And so I was shocked that there was a press conference to announce that Rich and I were put on leave with pay. And then some of the things that were actually said in the press conference or were in the paper the next day, I really felt at that point I needed to get my own attorney. I think that was on a Wednesday, and on a Friday afternoon, I actually engaged an attorney, and I just felt like I needed some protection because, you know, I really didn't know what was happening in regards to what, you know, I had been told many times was a clear violation of UHHR policy. I told my attorney that I'd like to be reinstated as athletic director.
So you didn't ask for the new position?
No, never. It was not my idea. I didn't ask for it. It was never even on my radar screen.
You had two options, and one was they would buy you out.
They would buy me out for no cause under the no cause terms of my athletic director contract.
And that would be to pay for the rest?
Pay me through March of 2013. And then I could sue the university if I thought that I was damaged from the press conference or how anything was handled.
Or take a position at $200,000 plus.
211, temporarily reduced to 201 approximately, and that it would be a 3-year contract past the end date of my athletic director contract.
It's kind of a no-brainer, right? But why do you think, if they thought they could win the case, why do you think they offered you that position?
I don't know. I mean, Chancellor Apple definitely believed that there was a need for this position for Manoa to make sure that we had consistent branding, that we had a marketing plan, that we had outreach to the community.
But how did he know you'd do a good job in that? He barely was at the university for two months, and how did he know if you were so bad that he couldn't put you back at athletic director that you would be so great in this position?
I don't know.
So do you consider that 3-year appointment of Jim a settlement agreement in exchange for his agreeing not to sue?
That's certainly part 2 of that agreement, is his agreement not to sue. As I said before, of course, I wanted him in the position already. So that part of it to me is not so much a settlement. That was my desire to have him in that position. But we certainly did want him to then release all claims against the university. He strongly suspected we would win a lawsuit. But what would happen? Well, we couldn't start a search for a new athletic director in that condition if we're being sued to reinstate him. We couldn't have run the search. We'd have bad publicity. Not that we don't now,
Yeah, you could have just.
but it would have been, I mean, it would have
Left him
been a,
there and run the search
Yeah,
anyway.
that's how you could have settled it.
how?
Right.
I'm
Just
sorry.
put him back.
For, and
Okay, so.
in the contract,
My call, I take full responsibility. I did not want to do that because I didn't think it was, quite frankly, I was worried about whether some of our coaches would stay. And I just didn't want to do that.
You were here last Monday and you heard the president of the university say that the attorneys had indicated that if they would have gone ahead with a lawsuit against you, that they would have won. You heard the Chancellor repeat that today. Did your attorney ever discuss the possibilities of what could happen in a lawsuit?
Yes.
And what was his conclusion?
Probably not surprisingly, he thought he could win.
So August 22nd, you found out that there was an agreement, a settlement on August 11th?
I became aware as board chair, and the vice chair was notified that.
So this was a done deal before you even discussed whether or not you had this policy that required your approval. This didn't come to the board to say, hey, by the way, we have this agreement.
We left it to the administration to ensure that, I mean, we trust that the administration operates within policy.
So as far as the position now that you're in, you've been, do you know what it's called? What's your title?
Yes, it's Director of External Affairs and Community Relations.
If the university had put you back in your position and let your contract run out, what would have happened?
If that would have happened, I would have been done on March 24th, 2013.
And we would have not have to pay and put you in a different position. Would you still have sued? Is that what they're afraid of, that you would have sued?
It certainly wasn't my preference.
I just wondered why they just wouldn't put you back in your position and let the contract run out. It would save everybody money. You would have been out, but you know, the public, your contract. I mean, the problem I seem to have is that instead of letting people's contracts out, we have this fetish to want to either buy them out early or send them on sabbatical for a year and pay them, even though they've negotiated a very lucrative contract in the beginning. I mean, I just don't understand that, and maybe I'm not, you know, part of the university system, but certainly a lot of taxpayers out there, students, faculty are not happy with that. And I really hope that the regents and the president will read all of the testimony and perhaps solicit your own, because there's a lot of disgruntled people out there, and not just on this matter. There is so much stuff. We talked about the good things in university. There's a lot of bad stuff that is being brought out by these emails, which is very, very troubling.